Support comes from PCC Community Markets, celebrating summer in the Northwest with organic blueberries locally grown by 2 family farms and hand-picked at the peak of season, with 15 neighborhood locations. More at pccmarkets.com.
Hey, good morning. It's Patricia Murphy. It's Friday. This is Seattle Now. What a week. The weather is mercifully cooler, and live music is back. Now we just need to find enough people to load bags at the airport, and we'll be in business. We're packing up another week of summertime in Seattle with KUOW's Jeannie Yandel and writer-performer David Schmader. But first, let's get you caught up. 2 Seattle police officers broke the law by trespassing at the U.S. Capitol in January and should be fired. That's according to a new report from the city's police watchdog. The Office of Professional Accountability investigated 6 SPD officers after they attended the Stop the Steal rally in D.C. on January 6th. 2 were captured on video, standing in a restricted zone outside the Capitol as rioters broke through fence lines and fought with Capitol Police. 3 other officers were cleared of wrongdoing, and there wasn't enough evidence to say either way on the 6th. Chief Diaz now has 30 days to decide on disciplinary action. 2 former city employees who sounded the alarm over Mayor Durkin's missing text messages are suing. Stacey Irwin and Kim Ferrero filed whistleblower complaints after they were told to hide the fact that the messages were missing. They later resigned, they say, because of retaliation against them. Both are seeking $5 million in damages. Meanwhile, the city council is considering legislation to protect records officers from political influence. And the State Department of Health is now attributing 78 deaths to last month's historic heat wave when Seattle's temps hit a blistering 108 degrees. The extreme heat also contributed to an uptick in ER visits. The state DOH says more than 2,000 people were seen for heat-related issues between June 25th and July 1st. For comparison, there were just 7 heat-related deaths all of last summer. Well. Man, do these holiday weeks feel long or what? Why is that? It's Friday again, in case you got lost. My neighborhood's small arsenal of fireworks didn't exactly help me feel rested and ready to come back to work this week. They're still setting them off, by the way. David Schmader is here, author, performer, America's leading commentator on the 1995 erotic drama Showgirls, starring Elizabeth Berkley. He's at the Triple Door tonight. Dave, it's hard to believe, but I work with people who have never heard of this piece of NC-17 mastery. Can you explain Showgirls in one sentence?
I'll do my best. It was a 1995 film, big budget, would-be blockbuster, erotic drama about a Las Vegas showgirl that landed with a wet thud. The critics hated it. People hated it. It disappeared. It was an embarrassment. But drag queens discovered it, and then I saw it and realized it was the greatest accidental comedy ever. And it has this second life as a beautiful failure.
Fantastic. Yep. And Jeannie Yandel is back, editor at KUOW and co-host of Battle Tactics for Your Sexist Workplace, the podcast. Jeannie, where does the production of Goddess at the Stardust Casino rank among America's most sexist workplaces?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I mean, I feel like Nomi walked in there knowing that it was a super sexist situation. I don't really think that Kyle MacLachlan's character was like, what we need is innovation. What we need is disruption. Like, I think there are probably other places that have bigger problems that aren't really out in the open as the production of Goddess.
Well, if you haven't seen this masterwork, show up at the Triple Door tonight and learn a little bit about it from David Schmader. We have been lifting the pandemic restrictions and crawling back into the daylight here in Washington. The big reopen was last week, and now live music is back, full capacity, mask optional, spilled beer, dark crowded room, sweaty strangers. What more could you ask for, really? This is a big moment, though, for the city. We got to be honest. We spent, a good amount of time suppressing all of this energy. Jeannie, do you think we're ready?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, and the answer for me is no. It's a big honkin' no. My spouse is a musician. they are starting to book shows.
Yeah.
And like half an hour ago, they were like, I could go to a show tonight at the Tractor? You know, and it went up at the end like it was a question. And we were both like, okay. So they're certainly going to be out there. They've missed playing music a lot. I think I just want to stay inside for a while longer. But that's just me. Nobody else has to do what I do.
Dave, you're a performer, so I'm curious about how you're thinking about this. Are you ready for a live audience again?
I'm definitely like rehearsing a little harder and just kind of like there's this thing where you control what you control so you can stay open to weirdness. And it's like I'm making a lot of room for weirdness of people as we thaw out after COVID, because who knows? I've done a little socializing and it was exhausting. I felt like kids' first day at school. Like I had to take a nap afterwards. We're just like too much information. Because I was also a lockdown, serious lockdowner. So I got used to those days where like maybe half a thing happened and that was your day. So then you go to a bar and 1,000 things happen at once and all this information is flying at your brain. And I was like, I need a nap. But I was ready. My thing is like, I got my vaccine. I believe in the vaccine and I'm going to use my vaccine.
I think that's true. We have to be able to exercise our vaccine choice to build up the resilience for people again, because it's very overwhelming out there. You know what I realized? I really missed eavesdropping on people's conversations. That's something that I realize I am always doing that I haven't been doing for this whole time. And now that I'm back out in the world more, there's a lot to listen to. There is a lot to listen to.
I bet. Is it repetitive because we all went through the same situation?
Well, if indoors is feeling a little too up close and personal, summer music festivals are back, sort of. Bumbershoot isn't happening. Organizers say they're still re-racking that event. But a new festival called Day In, Day Out is slated for Labor Day weekend at the Seattle Center. 2 days, one stage. Could be fun. Could be out there. Lawn chair.
Yeah.
People.
Are any of us extroverts on this call? Would any of us in the before times have spent many hours at a musical festival? Like,
I have a sense that none of us are showing up for this festival.
I would like the thing with the festival now, like I like music lying on a bed in front of a fan and listening to it on headphones. So, but a festival would be like seeing your fellow man. And so the more thinking about Bumbershoot and festivals, like thinking of like a 90s Bumbershoot could be really beautiful. Of just like that weird, the city just wanders around and there's maybe one big name to make all the local talent feel like hot poop, but it's not Sasquatch Jr.
Right.
It's more like, oh my God, we're having this magical thing at Seattle Center for a weekend.
Yeah, this one is billing itself as a highly curated mixtape-inspired experience.
One stage is great. It keeps your focus there. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to play that. And people aren't pitted against each other. That's really nice. Like, that definitely gets a little more to, let's just go to the talent show of Seattle and hang out. But I'm sure it's going to be, like, a really good talent show because it's highly curated, as you just said.
Bumbershoot was such a great choice for so long. I remember when tickets were $19, Dave. Those were the days when Bumbershoot was like a discovery of music.
And you could afford to not have the greatest time on earth. When you fork out a huge amount of money, you have to have the greatest time on earth.
That's true. The stakes feel very high because these tickets are $80 for one day. That's a lot of cake to lay down.
That is. We've all been, hopefully, I don't know, we've all found different ways to spend our entertainment budgets during lockdown, I'm sure. I would love to hear how everyone did it. Of like, well, I'm buying this because I haven't gone to a bar in so long that I deserve these 7 wigs.
I wish we got
Who are you
wigs.
hanging out with, Dave?
6 people who now have awesome wigs.
You might have a hard time getting a hold of those wigs because there seems to be a shortage of everything right now. Everything is reopening, but is being hindered by a lack of people to do the jobs. For real, like last week, we heard about restaurants that were able to open, but were asking people to be patient because they were having so many bumps opening up. And this week, we're learning about other shortages, stuff like lifeguards and ferry workers and, of course, baggage handlers because we need to leave. So nobody's getting on that plane. Seattle Parks and Rec just closed the beach at Seward Park because they didn't have a lifeguard. It was only open for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Rip off.
It was free. What are you talking about, rip off? Rip off.
You know people are going to swim anyway. That's actually just dangerous, which is,
Yeah. And this isn't as dangerous, but like restaurants and venues are reconfiguring capacity as far as who they can treat right because they have a reputation on the line. So it's like we can treat this many people properly. So you might see COVID feeling restrictions that are based entirely on economics and impression.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And to be
Absolutely.
fair, Seattle has 7 other beaches open. So there are options. It's just not Seward Park, people.
Yeah. It took me a while to realize the restrictions weren't just COVID-based anymore. It was like, there's just, the machine isn't quite running right yet.
Yeah. Totally. And the ferry service has had trouble for months recruiting young mariners to do that job. It's very strange. One of the problems is that the people who work are all retiring out and they're not being replaced by younger workers. Seattle Times says 57 sailings have been canceled in the last 5 months. 57 boats. Nobody wants to work on the boats, even though it does seem like a kind of a cool job.
But I feel like the thing that we're not talking about is like working in a restaurant, working in the ferry system, even being a lifeguard. Those are all really public-facing jobs. I mean, would you be really hyped to take a job like that where you're dealing with people all the time in this like state of heightened tension after the last 17 months of what we went through? I mean, it kind of isn't surprising to me that the last thing anybody would want to do is spend a lot of time speaking with the public, particularly in a service-related job.
Oh, my God.
My God.
No, we should bring in the National Guard.
Well, I think it's interesting, you're right, because maybe we're learning so much about ourselves. And this last story about the shortage is maybe the biggest clue. Alaska Airlines doesn't have enough baggage handlers, so it's asking management to pitch in with baggage shifts till August. So Seattle Times reports that a memo says managers are expected to do 5 full shifts as baggage handlers. So if you spy a guy out on the concourse in a suit and loafers loading bags, you know what's up there. Part of the problem with recruiting these people is that the pay is so low for baggage handlers. They even raised the rate to try to attract them, but it was like $22 an hour. For the physicalist labor on the tarmac, probably.
Wow, that feels huge. Like, management rarely suffers. Like, that's amazing.
This could be a valuable experience for executives.
No, it's shocking that it's like gone to that level, because usually it's just like work harder, work faster, you don't get a weekend.
Well, I will say, that management is involved because the suffering is time boxed. Like they're saying, you're only going to work 5 shifts. That's never a thing. Suffering is not time boxed for hourly workers. Yeah.
Oh, and you're going to get a free airline ticket. They're going to reward you with some air travel. I don't know. Maybe the ferry system and the Parks Department should take a page from Alaska. Get Inslee out there. Is he going to be the captain or the able-bodied seaman? I want to know if Inslee's going to be shepherding cars onto the ferry, maybe making the announcements.
Able-bodied seaman all the way. I have one more thing to say about this Alaska thing. I just got this awful flash of in 6 months, all these executives are going to be trying to be buddies with the baggage handlers and be like, oh, well, you know what, Gary? I was a baggage handler over the summer, too. I'm feeling it for Gary, the baggage handler.
Either that, or they're all going to be knee-deep in paperwork from the workers' comp claims for their bagged backs.
It's more physical work than I bet a lot of them have done. That's one of the reasons it's shocking of you've got arms and legs, get out there. I don't care about your degree.
I have a PhD. No.
You got arms and legs is all I care about, dude.
Get those managers out there. All right, that's our show for today. Thanks to our guests, David Schmader and Jeannie Yandel. Have a great weekend, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trish.
That's all for today. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend about us. Very easy to share an episode. You can do it right from your phone. Jason Pagano produced today's show. Our production team is Clare McGrane, Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, and Diana Opong. Matt Jorgensen does our theme music. I'm Patricia Murphy. We'll see you next week.